First contact. The Meridian Deep Space Station hung silently in Earth's orbit, its sensors perpetually scanning the vast emptiness of space. Dr. Sarah Chen was completing her routine checks when the first anomaly appeared, a gravitational distortion unlike anything humanity had ever recorded. Within hours, a massive ship materialized in lunar orbit. It all bore the scars of recent battle, and its systems were barely functional. Earth's military immediately went on high alert, but what emerged from the vessel wasn't an invasion force, it was a plea for help. The Arvani, a species of bioluminescent humanoids, had fled across half the galaxy to reach Earth. Their ambassador, Lyra, revealed the terrible truth. A species known as the Nexar Empire was systematically conquering and enslaving civilizations across the galaxy. The Arvani had refused to submit, and their homeworld paid the price. Why Earth? General Marcus Torres asked during the first diplomatic meeting. We're hardly the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Lyra's skin pulsed with soft blue light as she responded. Because you're different. We've been watching. Your species. You don't just survive. You thrive on adversity. You take impossible situations and reshape them to your will. The Nexar have never encountered anything like humans before. The truth was, humanity had been unknowingly preparing for this moment throughout their entire history. Every war, every disaster, every challenge had taught them to adapt, to innovate, to never accept defeat. Where other species specialized and refined their technologies along predictable paths, humans developed in all directions simultaneously, creating a technological diversity that defied conventional wisdom. As Earth's governments debated their response to the Arvani's request for alliance, the first Nexar probe appeared at the edge of the solar system. Its message was simple: surrender the Arvani refugees or face extinction. The probe was destroyed before it could transmit a response back to its masters. Earth had made its choice. They would not bow to threats, and they would not abandon those who sought their help. Humanity's first interstellar war was about to begin, and the galaxy would learn why that was a mistake. The Alliance. The integration of Arvani technology with human innovation produced results that shocked both species. While the Arvani had developed elegant, efficient systems over millennia, humans approached problems from angles that had never occurred to their new allies. Dr. Chen worked closely with Lyra to combine Arvani quantum communications with human encryption methods. Your species is fascinating, Lyra observed as Sarah sketched out another modification. Where we see limitations, you see opportunities. It's as if the concept of impossible doesn't exist in your vocabulary. The human-Arvani partnership proved revolutionary. Arvani ships were elegant but predictable. Human engineers suggested seemingly chaotic modifications that made the vessels far more difficult to target. Human AI systems, considered primitive by Arvani standards, proved invaluable when combined with Arvani quantum processors, creating hybrid systems that could adapt to new threats in real time. But the most significant advantage came from humanity's greatest strength, their diversity of thought. Where the Arvani sought perfect solutions, humans were willing to try anything that might work. They transformed civilian ships into military vessels, adapted mining equipment into weapons, and developed tactics that seemed suicidal until they succeeded. The first test of this partnership came when a Nexar scout fleet entered the solar system. They expected to find a primitive civilization using borrowed technology. Instead, they encountered a hybrid defense force, unlike anything in their experience. The battle lasted less than an hour, and not a single Nexar ship survived to report back. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The Nexar Empire had conquered 1,000 worlds with their methodical, overwhelming force. They would not take this defeat lightly. As the victorious ships returned to Earth, General Torres met with the combined human-Arvani command. They'll be back, he stated grimly. And next time, they'll come with everything they have. Lyra's skin flickered with nervous energy. Perhaps we should evacuate, find another world too. No, interrupted Sarah, her eyes bright with determination. This is our home. And if they want it, they're going to learn exactly what happens when you back humans into a corner. The storm arrives. The Nexar Empire arrived with a force that darkened the skies. 10,000 ships, each carrying enough firepower to level a continent. Their emperor, a being who had overseen the conquest of countless worlds, sent a final warning. Submit or be erased from history. Earth's response came in the form of a massive data burst that overwhelmed and crashed the communication systems of the entire Nexar fleet. A human hacker collective had modified a virus using Arvani quantum principles, creating something that spread faster than the Nexar's systems could contain. While the enemy fleet struggled to restore their systems, the combined human Arvanid defense force struck. Smaller ships darted between the massive Nexar vessels, using their superior maneuverability to devastate the larger ships' weak points. Mining vessels converted into combat ships used their industrial-grade cutting beams to slice through capital ship armor. The Nexar responded with overwhelming force, their superior numbers gradually pushing back the defenders. But this was exactly what humanity had planned for. As the enemy fleet pushed toward Earth, they found themselves caught in a web of traps and ambushes. Space itself seemed to fight against them. Automated asteroid miners had been reprogrammed to launch chunks of rock at relativistic speeds. Civilian satellites transformed into missile platforms. Even Earth's orbital debris had been weaponized, forming clouds of hypersonic shrapnel that shredded anything passing through them. The Nexar Emperor watched in growing fury as his perfectly ordered battle plan dissolved into chaos. His species had evolved from hive-minded insects, and their military doctrine relied on precise, coordinated movements. But humans fought like cornered animals, striking from every direction, using tactics that seemed to defy logic itself. A Nexar commander, watching another battle group fall to seemingly suicidal human tactics, finally understood. They're not fighting to win, he realized. They're fighting because they don't know how to stop. Adaptation. As the battle raged across the solar system, humanity demonstrated why they had survived every catastrophe in their history. When the Nexar adapted to their electronic warfare, humans switched to using primitive radio signals that the advanced alien systems didn't even think to monitor. When their ships ran low on conventional ammunition, they loaded them with whatever they could find, from space debris to decommissioned satellites. The Arvani watched in amazement as their human allies seemed to grow stronger with each setback. Dr. Chen's team developed new technologies at an unprecedented rate, combining Arvani principles with human ingenuity in ways that created weapons the Nexar had no defense against. But the Empire's numbers were telling. Despite heavy losses, they pushed closer to Earth, their overwhelming force gradually overwhelming the defenders. The combined fleet was forced to retreat again and again, until they made their final stand in Earth's orbit. The Nexar Emperor, confident in his inevitable victory, made a critical mistake. He ordered his forces to target civilian populations, believing this would break humanity's will to fight. He didn't understand that humans had a long history of facing extinction-level threats, and that fear of annihilation didn't paralyze them. It made them dangerous. Breaking point. The targeting of civilian populations was the final straw. Something changed in the human defenders, a shift that even their Arvani allies found frightening. The desperate defense transformed into a relentless counterattack. Humanity had reached its breaking point, but not in the way the Nexar expected. Instead of surrendering, they channeled generations of survival instinct into a fury that would reshape the galaxy. Every human ship, from the largest battlecruiser to the smallest fighter, began fighting with a ferocity that bordered on madness. Dr. Chen's team released their final project, a weapon that used the Nexar's own highly organized communication networks against them. The virus didn't just disable their systems, it turned their ships against each other. The perfectly coordinated Nexar fleet began to tear itself apart. The Emperor watched in horror as his undefeated armada crumbled before what he had dismissed as a primitive species. His final transmission to his homeworld carried a warning. Do not provoke the humans. They don't know how to accept defeat, and they will burn the galaxy to survive. In the aftermath, as the combined human-Arvani fleet pursued the retreating Nexer forces, Lyra found Sarah staring out at the debris field that had once been the invincible Nexer fleet. "I never understood until now," Lyra said softly, her skin pulsing with complex emotions. "Why your species survived everything your world threw at you. You never learned to accept defeat because you never accepted limitations." Sarah smiled grimly. "Humans have a saying, never corner something that's meaner than you are." The Nexer thought they were the apex predators of the galaxy. They never realized that Earth produced something far more dangerous, a species that turns impossible situations into victories. The battle for Earth became a legend across the galaxy, a cautionary tale about the danger of pushing humans to their breaking point. The Nexer Empire began to crumble as other species, inspired by humanity's example, rose up against their oppressors. But more importantly, it marked humanity's true emergence onto the galactic stage. They had proved themselves not just survivors, but protectors. The species that had spent its history fighting itself had found a greater purpose, ensuring that no other civilization would face extinction alone. The galaxy learned an important lesson. Humans were not just another spacefaring species. They were the descendants of survivors, the children of a world that had tried to kill them countless times. They had turned their greatest weakness, their inability to accept defeat, into their greatest strength. And they were just getting started.